Breaking news! Get ready, Broncos fans, because Sean Payton's team just got some serious news that could change everything for next season. Man, I admit that this got me extremely excited, and I'm going to tell you all about it. But before you continue, make sure you've already hit the like button, but only do so if you believe the Broncos will actually make it to the next Super Bowl. If possible, comment something like, "Go Broncos! I believe." Now sit down, because here comes a bombshell. While other AFC teams are busy making intriguing moves that could set them back, the Denver Broncos are getting ready to make waves. And not just any waves, big waves. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, who is not known for giving hot takes, just dropped a bombshell. The Denver Broncos are a stealth threat to be the biggest spender in free agency this year. Yes, you heard that right. The Broncos, a team many doubted, may be on the verge of making the kind of move that could put us in serious playoff contention. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is that possible with just $43 million in cap space? But here's the thing. Money isn't just about how much you have. It's about how you use it. And with the Walton Penner ownership group running the show, we have the financial flexibility to structure deals in a way that could stretch that $43 million far beyond what other teams can manage. We can front-load contracts, move money around, and create cap space in ways that only teams with serious financial backing can do. That means that while other teams are cutting corners and making desperate moves, the Broncos could be on the cusp of something huge. One of the biggest areas of concern? Inside linebacker. It's a position we've dominated in the past, and one we need to rebuild with the right kind of player. Zach Bond was a name floating around, but he got scooped up by the Eagles. And honestly, that might be for the best. Former Broncos player Nick Ferguson reminded us exactly what we need from an inside linebacker, a player who makes opposing offenses fear stepping into the trenches. And let's be real, Zach Bond never checked those boxes. But you know who might? Dre Greenlaw, or even Nick Bolton. These guys bring that intensity, that speed, that game-changing ability that could transform our defense overnight. And then there's the bombshell that Vegas just dropped. When sportsbooks, whose literal job is to make money by being right, set the odds, you pay attention. And guess who they have as the top betting favorite to land star wide receiver Davante Adams? That's right, the Denver Broncos. Imagine this, a top 10, maybe even top 5 receiver in the league, joining our team for a vet minimum contract. That would be the steal of the century. And it's not just speculation, this is coming from Vegas, the people who make their living by predicting outcomes with frightening accuracy. But wait, there's more. With the Seahawks heading into full rebuild mode, rumors are swirling that DK Metcalf is looking for a new home. And while, sure, having a guy with his physical gifts would be insane, the cost is simply too high. The Seahawks reportedly want a first and a third-round pick, plus a massive contract extension. And here's where it gets even crazier. Patrick Surtain has already proven he can lock DK Metcalf down. So why spend that kind of capital when we could get someone like Davante Adams for a fraction of the price? It's a no-brainer. Speaking of smart moves, let's talk about the disaster that's unfolding with the Raiders and Chargers. The Raiders just made Max Crosby the highest paid non-quarterback in football. That's right, $35.5 million per year. More than Justin Jefferson, more than CD Lamb, and all for a guy who, let's be honest, might be a little overhyped. Meanwhile, the Chargers are out here cutting Joey Bosa, which means their defense is taking a massive hit. And let's not forget, the Chiefs just traded away a Pro Bowl guard. While they're taking steps backward, the Broncos are gearing up to move forward in a big way. And then there's Cincinnati. The Bengals have been an offensive powerhouse, but their defense has been their Achilles heel. Last season, rookie quarterback Bo Nix tore them apart, leading his team to an overtime thriller that exposed just how weak their defense really is. And now, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both due for massive extensions, the Bengals simply won't have the money to fix their defense. That means they're going all in on the idea that they can just outscore everybody. And history tells us that's not a winning formula. Meanwhile, the Broncos are making smart moves. We're locking down key players on team-friendly deals, avoiding overpaying for hype, and setting ourselves up for long-term success. And then, there's the coaching staff. Anyone still doubting Sean Payton? Think again. Patrick Surtain himself just shared a story about how Payton motivated him by pinning up a reminder of his worst game, the nightmare before Christmas against the Patriots. That's next-level coaching. And if you need even more proof, just look at what's happening on the sidelines. Super Bowl 50 champion Todd Davis is leaving a sweet media gig to join the Broncos coaching staff. That doesn't happen unless people believe in what Payton is building. So, Broncos country, let's talk. Are you ready for this? Are you starting to see the vision? The Broncos are not only making moves, they're making the right moves. And while the rest of the AFC is stumbling, we're about to hit the gas. What do you think? Who should the Broncos target in free agency? Would you take a chance on Davante Adams at a bargain price? And how do you feel about the rest of the AFC West making moves that could backfire in a big way? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's get this conversation going. And if that wasn't enough to get you fired up, let's talk about what this means for the Broncos moving forward. Because while some people might still be sleeping on Denver, the reality is that we are in prime position to shake things up in the AFC. The pieces are coming together, and the signs are everywhere. You just have to pay attention. Let's start with Bo Nix. The Broncos quarterback situation has been a hot topic for years, and for the first time in what feels like forever, there's legitimate excitement about the future. Bo Nix was just named Co-Offensive Rookie of the Year by the Senior Bowl, and while some draft analysts might have underestimated him, it's becoming clearer every day that this kid has something special. Think about it. He's stepping into an offense that will be built to maximize his strengths, with a head coach in Sean Payton who knows exactly how to develop quarterbacks. That's a dangerous combination. And let's be honest, how many of you were worried about Sean Payton's ability to turn things around? There was a lot of noise out there suggesting that he might not be the guy, that his best coaching days were behind him. But take a look at what's happening. The culture is shifting, the roster is improving, and players are buying in. When a guy like Todd Davis, who was thriving in the media world, decides to walk away from that to join Payton's coaching staff, it tells you everything you need to know. People want to be part of what's being built in Denver. Now, let's go back to free agency, because if the Broncos are really going to be aggressive, we have to think about the right targets. We already talked about the inside linebacker position, but what about the offensive line? The Broncos need to make sure Bo Nix is protected, and there are options out there. The team has already restructured some contracts to create more financial flexibility, and with the ability to front-load deals, Denver could make a splash at a key position. And then there's the receiver situation. If Davante Adams is really in play, that's a move you absolutely have to consider. Yes, he's on the other side of 30, but we're talking about an elite route runner with sure hands and a veteran presence that could help accelerate Bo Nix's development. And again, we're not talking about breaking the bank here. Vegas has Denver as the favorite to land him for a vet minimum deal. If that opportunity is there, you take it. But what about the rest of the AFC? Because let's be real, our road to the playoffs is going to be determined just as much by what other teams do as by what we do. And right now, the AFC West is a mess outside of Kansas City. The Chargers cutting Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack signals that they're going into full rebuild mode. The Raiders giving Max Crosby that massive contract puts them in cap trouble, and their quarterback situation is still a disaster. The Chiefs, well, they're the Chiefs, but even they're taking steps back by trading away one of their top offensive linemen. And then there's the Bengals. I cannot stress this enough. This team is in trouble. They're about to dump massive amounts of money into Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, which means their defense is going to suffer even more. Now, Broncos country, it's time for you to weigh in. If we're really about to be major players in free agency, who should we go after? Do you want Davante Adams? Should we make a move for a top-tier inside linebacker? And how do you feel about the state of the AFC right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is shaping up to be one of the most exciting off seasons in recent memory.